It's Capital 99.7. It's a beautiful Wednesday morning. Good morning to you and welcome to Conversations with Hope. So today we sit down with a man who has been at the center of Zambia's legal and diplomatic governance over the past few years. Our guest is Haimbe, State Counsel, the Deputy Chairperson of the UPND Legal Committee, and former Minister of Justice and Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation. He joins us at a time when Zambia is reflecting on governance, performance, economic pressures, and political accountability ahead of the August 2026 general elections. His party's manifesto is under scrutiny, and we'll be taking a deeper look at the manifesto. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, our guest this morning on Conversations with Hope is Mlambo Haimbe, State Counsel, the Deputy Chairperson of the UPND Legal Committee and former Minister of Justice and Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation. We're live on the Capital FM Facebook page. We're also live on Smart Egos. For those that are streaming, you can catch us on Radio Box. Otherwise, FM, it's 99.7. We'll be opening up the phone lines at 10 if you have any questions or contributions to make. Good morning and welcome to the program.
Good morning. Thank you. It's wonderful to be here, and good morning to our viewers as well.
You're welcome. Is this your first visit at Capital FM?
And since we moved here, yes, but we have had a couple of shows at the Kaplonga location. So,
okay.
I know the good work that you do, and we're looking forward to having a wonderful conversation.
You're welcome. You know, I questioned myself the other day, and I was asking if I've ever had a sit down with you, and I believe this is my first. This will be our first conversation, if I'm not wrong.
One-on-one, yeah. The last one was very heated at Radio Hot FM, was it? With the terrible trio.
You can say that again.
But yeah, again, it was a wonderful conversation nonetheless. But as I said, I'm glad to be here to help debunk some of those questions that the people might have regarding our intentions as the UPND.
You're welcome. I was dropping off my son this morning at school, and he said to me, he's only 9, and he said to me, Mommy, we are closing in August, and there's elections on August 13th. I was like, oh my word. You even know the date.
Democracy at its best, isn't it?
Are you sleeping? Are you resting? Are you not waking up in the middle of the night seeing August 13th?
Yeah, there's a lot of work to be done. We don't take for granted that we have to convince the people of Zambia why they should re-elect President Haimbe Hichilema. So at a time like this, we are on our toes, but always we're on our toes, even when working for the people of Zambia in the immediate past mandate, or the one that's ending on the 13th of August, we put our best all the time. So no sleep.
No, that's understandable. All right, let's start with you. As Mlambo Haimbe, you recently announced that you will not seek re-election as Member of Parliament for Lusaka Central under the UPND ticket. What informed this decision, at a stage when your political and legal careers, especially given your rising portfolio within the government and party structures, just took so much shape? What informed this decision of you not contesting Lusaka Central?
Thank you very much. It was a personal decision based on a number of factors. But also, more importantly, to allow me the opportunity to be more of a general player in Lusaka district, to bolster the campaigns of my counterparts who've been adopted. So those who follow me would have observed that, in fact, I've been working closely with my colleagues to offer that extra support, to increase, of course, coverage and potentially to increase the number of votes that we can get for the candidates, but also importantly for the president. Also, I've got a number of roles that I'm playing. You will have noticed, for those that follow, that I'm representing President Haimbe Hichilema in some of the court cases that are taking place. So had I been limited within Lusaka Central constituency, I may not have been able to play some of these roles that I am playing. But also, it's important where we are in a competition for people to take a mature stance. It's a message and an example for those out there that we have to be able to compromise in this political game and do what is best from a broader picture perspective. And that was also what informed the decision.
Did you consult the people who elected you?
Yes, I did. I had quite a extensive consultation, not only amongst the electorate, but also the family, colleagues within the UPND and the leadership. So it was a decision made after a lot of proper reflection.
Yeah. I was on a program, I think, sometime last year, and from um, the the calls that came through from Lusaka Central, there are those that were saying Haimbe is an absent MP. He is too busy for us. He is not present in Lusaka Central. I believe you heard some of those sentiments.
Yes, some of those sentiments were heard, and of course they were addressed. I think there's an important aspect that we need to understand as a people in terms of what the role of the MP is. The word absent is very relative. If the work is being done, for example, you have all the projects running and so on and so forth. One cannot then say that the MP is unavailable or absent because the work is being done. And of course, you also have to look at what the MP is doing. Is he executing a national function or just not there for the sake of not being there? In my case, of course, with the portfolio of foreign affairs, that meant a lot of foreign travel to execute national duty. And an objective person would have been able to see that, in fact, this person is playing this dual role. But that's done and dusted. I think we are now currently in an election for various candidates across the constituencies, the 10 in Lusaka district, for example. I intend to support each and every one of them. Of course, my successor, Mr. Mlewa, as well.
Did you enjoy serving as MP?
Yes, ups and downs, certainly. With any public role, there will be areas where there's some concern. From the perspective of the individual holding that public office. But by and large, yes, service for those that come to these political offices for the correct reasons, service becomes fulfilling. And you'll find that there will be instances throughout that 5 years period that you actually make a difference in the lives of people, and that for me was very, very fulfilling. So I'll do it again. I think that's the next question you'd have asked.
And maybe another question should be: do you think you were going to win if you went for it?
I think so, certainly, because of the amount of work that has been put in Lusaka Central. I recall that at some point there was this talk about burn rate, and that was a conversation that also took hold, especially in social media. But then we had focused specifically on a lot of infrastructural work. So you would see that we first top priority was the schools and school infrastructure, of course, to dovetail into the presidential vision of free education. Then next amongst the priorities was the health sector, and then finally security. Those were our key priorities. And when you go across Lusaka Central, you will find, for instance, if you talk about security, you just need to take a walk to Luwa Police Post. It's one of the best in the country, state of the art, and takes into consideration human rights matters, because it's got segregated cells for men, women, and juveniles, both male and female. One of the most advanced facilities that we have in the country. You look at the school infrastructure that's been done. For instance, in Bauleni, we didn't have sufficient classroom space. We built a 1x6 classroom block, the talk of the country. A lot of people talked about this very famous infrastructure, and that was able to bring back 800 people who were not able, young, and also a 52-year-old, surprisingly, a learner that was able to go back to school because of that. Amongst others, I'm just highlighting some of the key projects. I lobbied for Africa Development Bank to put in place a $1 million pipeline for the supply of potable water from Kafue River for the very first time into Bauleni and Nyumbayanga, and so on and so forth. And I believe these steps that were taken are going to be built upon by my successor once this election is done.
Now, you served as Minister of Justice and later as Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation. And now, just looking back, How do you assess your transition across these two very different but very strategic portfolios? And maybe also share what were some of your biggest achievements and also some of your toughest lessons. I mean, those two were very busy offices.
Yes, indeed. I'd like to state right off the bat in that regard that working under President Haimbe is one of the, I think, life lessons for me. The depth of wisdom that the president has, the vision that the president has, and being favored to be part of that. And by the way, I do appreciate that this is not an opportunity that just comes as a matter of entitlement. You have to work towards it. You have to, in each and every environment, one of the key things that the president expects of those of us in public service, again, as I said earlier, servant leadership. Your focus must not be yourself. And he's said this over and over again. This is what distinguishes us as a government from those that may be vying now, for instance, or who served in the past. Probably I could even take the opportunity to immediately speak to the people of Zambia in that regard, that this government has shown an outstanding servant approach to leadership. The country above yourself, your public function above yourself. And for me, that has been profound in the opportunities that have been given to serve, especially coming from private sector. Bring across some of the private sector ethos in terms of hard work, in terms of understanding that you have to apply yourself in whatever you are expected to do. So the transition from justice to foreign affairs was a learning curve, hit the ground running. One of the biggest, I think, achievements that in either of them has been putting in effort to embed the rule of law under the Ministry of Justice. A lot was done in that regard. And I know that there has been conversation about us not fulfilling our 2021 manifesto promises, which I'm sure we'll get into in a second or two. But if one looks objectively about how the work was put in the justice space, for the very first time, we were able to enact, for instance, critical legislation to protect the children, the Children's Code Act. We were able to enact legislation to protect the media via the access to information law. We were able to protect our citizens from arbitrary, or in inverted commas, arbitrary execution by removing the death penalty. We were able to enhance the business environment by making amendments to various regulations, subsidiary legislation that has an effect on how we do business as a country. The public-private partnership law, laws relating to how you and I can have an environmental impact assessment done as quickly as possible, and therefore attracting more foreign direct investment. So for me, I think that was a big plus. And of course, the initial work towards constitutional amendment, which was completed by my successor, Princess Kasuni, Honorable Princess Kasuni. In the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, I think we've done a lot under the stewardship, as I said, of President Hichilema, who is, of course, our chief marketer and our chief diplomat. Each and every intervention that was put by us in deployment of the foreign policy was aimed at benefiting the people of Zambia. And again, I'll go into a little more detail. And now you are seeing, in a good way, the hens coming home to roost. You are seeing the benefits of this foreign engagement that we have. First of all, we have been able to uplift the image of the country to the world at large, and that's very important. Our diplomatic efforts are paying dividend. Across the world, you see more interest in the country from those efforts that have been made. And second, we have established ourselves as a credible partner for the world out there. We all know that capital inflows cannot be generated without strategic partnerships from those that have got a better economic fortune than ourselves. And our economic policy, economic diplomacy policy has really come to fulfill some of those areas that we want to ensure that we can bring a benefit for the people of Zambia.
Okay, interesting.
That was long-winded. I'm out of breath.
It was two very busy, heavy officers, so
yes.
so that is understandable. But I think I need to throw in this question now. How would you describe, or how do you describe President Hakainde Hichilema as a leader? I had a sit down last week right here with KBF, Kelvin Fugabwadi, and he described President Hichilema as a businessman. I mean, for him, that was the best description. The only thing he could say was, doesn't make so much of a good leader, but he's a businessman.
I doubt very much if KBF, with due respect, would be the best person to describe leadership qualities. But that being said, I would take President Hichilema as an all-rounder, really an outstanding leader. An outstanding businessman, of course, as well. And
so there's nothing wrong combining the business.
No, there's nothing. Absolutely not. And I'm sorry to say, I hope I don't get in trouble for this, a workaholic. And that is what we need as a country. Because when you combine those characteristics together, you find that even in the most challenging of circumstances, our president is able to address what we need as a people, what we needed as a people coming into 2021 and beyond. What do I mean by this? Look at the heart that it took for the president to immediately upon being sworn in say, I do not want to see any sort of revenge from what we as UPND went through. All cadres halt the process of trying to get back at those that persecuted you. Do you know how much heart that takes? What leadership it takes? And what is the consequence? You are seeing in Zambia where, by and large, we are peaceful. Very, very important. Those things cannot be taken for granted. Take another example. I'm plucking them out of the air. Our current environment in terms of the unity in the country, at the level of our traditional leaders, for example, prior to President Hichilema coming in and putting in a deliberate policy to unite the people of Zambia, reunite the people of Zambia after some division had taken place over the last few years. Now you see a situation where Mwine Lubemba will travel all the way to Western Province to go and participate in and support his brother Lelitunga in a traditional ceremony. You will find 10, 15, 20 chiefs that are attending each other's functions whenever they take place. It's not something you can take for granted. It shows that we are one Zambia, one nation. And this takes deliberate policy and effort. Government had played its part through the directives or direction of the president to ensure that this happens. Now, unity is across the board. Interestingly, you see even our Lozi brothers now trying to powder the members in the Chimbuya that has come in place. These are important ethos to be able to ensure that we as a people of Zambia remember all the time that we are one, regardless of any ethnic, regional, or other divisions. Those are but cosmetic. The reality is that these matters put us together. Look at how we've handled through the leadership of the president the debt restructuring process. $13 billion of debt has been restructured through discipline, through a vision of ensuring that these matters are addressed. And who benefits ultimately from all this is the people of Zambia. And I'll follow up with a question to the viewers out there and the listeners. Why would you then take an experiment? Why would you then want to change a winning formula? Why would you then want to substitute a leader that has demonstrated all these attributes? It doesn't make logical sense to do so, especially that the groundwork has been laid to bring Zambia to a level that it has never been before in terms of economic development, in terms of all this trickling down to us, the people. Why would we even take such a chance?
I think the magic word there now is groundwork, and this is exactly what you're referring to even in your manifesto. We'll be getting into the UPND 2026 manifesto, digging into the plan point for point. But before we do that, how do you assess the UPND's overall performance since forming government in 2021, particularly governance reforms, economic stabilization, and just also public service delivery?
Exceptional. I would say it's been an exceptional effort. Again, I'd want to speak positively. We all know where we came from. We all know that the state of the economy, for example, was at its lowest ebb. We all know that we were declining at minus 2.8%, instead of there being GDP growth, we were seeing a shrinkage of our economy. I know many of our listeners might not fully appreciate and understand some of these conversations, but they are important for us to have. We are coming from a situation where our foreign reserves were all but wiped out completely, with not even more than a couple of months import cover, for example. We were coming from a situation where the foreign exchange rates continued to grow. And this is something that we took as our responsibility. President Hichilema took as his responsibility when he came in and took over the leadership of the country. Now, why do I say that the performance has been exceptional? Over and above that, we had a situation where we came in when COVID was at probably around its peak, and that had an impact on the economies across the globe. We came in shortly thereafter. There was the worst drought in living memory that we had in this country, but not a single Zambian died out of starvation. It took a lot of effort to be able to do that, and that notwithstanding, we have seen economic growth. Out of that situation, with the GDP now estimated to be around 6.6. I hope I'm not getting my figures wrong, since I'm not an expert in all this, but 6.6% growth, I think thereabouts. You are seeing for the very first time a harvest of this nature in terms of our staple maize at almost 5 million tons for the very first time in the history of the country. And by the way, we consume not anywhere near that tonnage. So it means that we're looking at potential for export of our product once we satisfy the local demand for what we need to eat, and keeping in mind that there's a potential El Nino coming. We're looking at a situation where when we came in, the dollar was at 23. Of course, turbulent thereafter, but we're talking about now as we speak, where is the dollar? Sitting at 17 kwacha a dollar. You're talking about inflation. This is all about economic performance. Inflation has been brought down to a single digit at 6+%. These are all economic fundamentals that lay the groundwork for growth. And this is what is important. I know the rhetoric out there is that, what does this mean to the person in Bauleni? What does this mean to the person in Kalingalinga? What does it mean to you and I in terms of all these macroeconomic fundamentals that we've talked about? It means, first and foremost, we have stabilized. You cannot expect that you'll have the benefits trickle down without ensuring the stabilization takes place first. And then you'll see economic growth starting to take place. Economic growth comes with jobs. It comes with opportunities for you and I, for each and every person out there that stands to benefit from the work of its government. So it's like a soccer match. We have just done the first half, and you can't substitute the team as you go into the second half. A team that is performing, that's scoring the goals. I think probably our colleagues listening out there will understand that analogy a little better, especially that we have the World Cup now.
Interesting. All right. So now, having said that, opposition leaders, including PF Presidential Hope for Brian Munduvile, have argued that it is necessary for the UPND to introduce a new manifesto when, in their view, only about 15% of the 2021 promises have been fulfilled. So how do you respond to this assessment specifically? And just what concrete evidence would you point to demonstrate that what has been achieved and what the citizens feel and what they are saying right now about the manifesto versus the new promises is not exactly what it is, and that you have delivered on most of the 2021 promises?
Yes, thank you very much. Indeed, we have delivered. And I would like to start by first, you've given a specific reference to Honorable Munduvile and his assessment that we've achieved only 15%. I don't know whether that is a scientific assessment or a guess, but I would like to say that he cannot offer a yardstick of what the performance of this government has been. Why? Because first and foremost, the approach to understanding issues of governance is absolutely not anchored in reality. and I'm being very, very polite as I say what I say, because of course we understand that this political game is about exchange of ideas and not attacking one another. So if I am out there as a Zambian, or as I sit here, I would take anything that the Honorable has said with a pinch of salt, and I will demonstrate why. Honorable is on record very recently as having said to the, I think to the electorate in a campaign that he would give that particular electorate, and of course this is in the manifesto. It was said in Kitwe, I believe, Zambians mining equipment. Now, how do you make such a sweeping statement? How do you expect to be taken seriously when you make a statement of that nature? And I'm going to demonstrate why that assertion that we've only done 15% should not be taken seriously by giving a practical example from that intervention with the electorate by Honorable Mundubile. He goes and says he will give you and I mining equipment, an excavator and a tipper truck and so on when he comes in. How many people do we have in Zambia? 20 million plus. Even if we take the electorate as just a number, we have 8 million odd voters out there. A promise to each and every one of them to receive an excavator, to receive mining equipment. Is that realistic? Is that the sort of way that we are saying that we can assess a person who's seeking leadership? If you look at the numbers of that promise alone, 8 million Zambians, a single excavator, not even a heavy duty one, a medium-sized 10-ton costs 3.6 million kwacha. You multiply that by 8 million. You're talking about 28 trillion 800 billion kwacha. That the Honorable is saying government will spend in its policy if they're elected into office. Now, come on, can we be realistic? Is that the way that we want to deal with questions of our governance, of our administration as a people? This is clearly a pipe dream that cannot take place. It's politicking.
You're a politician, so when you hear someone
yes.
that a statement, isn't this acceptable?
No, it's not.
Language during campaigns.
And this is why I'm going deliberately into this example, because what we are saying as the UPND, what is in our manifesto, what was in our manifesto of 2021-2026 was based on realistically achievable outcomes. That's the point I'm making. So I'm saying that someone who would put a pipe dream across to the people of Zambia as a way of convincing them without even a care of what the reality is, of what the impact of what they're saying, is simply misleading. So when he says to you and I that UPND has only done 15% of its promises, then you take it with a serious pinch of salt, because this is not the realistic way of approaching things. Now, having laid that groundwork in terms of the response, sorry, I cut you short. You wanted to?
No, that's fine.
Yes. The promises. And there are so many pieces of evidence that demonstrate clearly that we have achieved those promises. And I'll touch on some of the key ones.
Sure. I think the best thing to do right now is let's go with your commitments right now in the 2026 manifesto, point for point, and maybe we can look back at what was promised in 2021 and see where we are at.
Well, let's have a generic conversation. Sure. I think you're quite right to show that the growth agenda is still feeding into what we promised would do, what we have achieved, and we are continuing from there. We're looking at ensuring that the foundation that has been laid, I'll keep talking about that, is now paying dividend to the people of Zambia. So one of the key areas we must accept and appreciate is the area of free education. And President Hichilema has talked about this over and over again, how many believed it could not be achieved. The question was, where are you going to get the money from? That was the question. And the prudent economic policies that have been put in place are the ones that have been able to generate the resources for us as a government to fund free education, for us as a government to be able to return meal allowances for our students in the tertiary institutions. These policies are the ones that have been able to achieve for the people of Zambia the ability for their children to get a meal when they go to school. You and I know that with an empty stomach, a child will not perform. These are typical demonstrations of the fact that we have delivered on our many promises. I'm just picking the key highlights because we don't have sufficient time. Free education cannot be taken for granted, and it was there in the 2021 manifesto. It continues to be one of our key policies that we want to ensure that going forward we continue to apply. And this has dovetailed. It's not simply a pipe dream like this, which we have just demonstrated, that's coming from those that are competing against us. Free education was deliberately put in, methodically applied. What do I mean by this? When we said, as a party, we are bringing in free education, we had to ensure there was economic prudence to be able to sustain that free education. Through the debt restructuring process, we've released a significant amount of money that can go to social services. What do I mean by this? We had a debt repayment obligation of $2 billion United States dollars. Periodically, I think it's annual or less. Again, the experts will speak to that, but the figures are there. The numbers speak for themselves. That has been reduced to $900 million US dollars. The excess there goes to be able to ensure that we provide the social services. This is practical, hands-on outcomes, not these pipe dreams of saying we'll give people mining equipment when you haven't even looked at the numbers. What did it also allow us to do? Employ teachers. For the very first time in the history of this country, more than 40,000 teachers were employed during the first tenure of President Haimbe Hichilema. Practical outcomes of delivery of our promises, of what we have been able to do as a government, and what justifies our call to the people of Zambia to continue supporting this government and to continue supporting the President Haimbe Hichilema. Many other areas. You know that the mining sector has been revived.
Almost dead. Before you move on to mining, I mean, still on education, just listening to what you've said, obviously you've heard the arguments as well. You know, the challenges around this sector. Get to some of these schools, well and good. The numbers are good, you know. The pupils are turning up to learn, but it's access to some of these learning materials which is not there. We do not have adequate, you know, desks, even just classrooms for some of these pupils. How do you intend to address some of these challenges?
Oh, they're being addressed. They're being addressed. Let's be clear about that, and thank you for raising that. I was going to leave the subject so that we could talk about a broader aspects. But do you or the people out there, not you specifically, the listeners, the viewers, do we realize as a people, first of all, that CDF has been embedded? I talked about Lusaka Central. It's one example that I can give practically, where we purchased in excess of 4,000 desks during the time that I was the MP there. And I know that this procurement of desks will continue with my successor. Clear policy and an effort to address the challenges that come with an increased number of learners. Also, construction of learning spaces has been done through CDF. We have 226 constituency-based seats that are up for election in this current constitutional mandate. That means we have 40 million kwacha in 226 constituencies that will continue with this particular policy direction that we are taking. If anybody is practical, they'll see that this would address the challenges that have been spoken of. But also taking an empirical, a scientific, and an objective view of the actual impact of free education. For the first time, we saw last year the best results that we've ever recorded as a country. So those who argue against the free education policy and say that it's not effective,
so
how do they explain?
Quality versus quantity doesn't
No. It's quality. The quality question has been answered by the fact that those 2.5 million additional learners that have been brought into education, who have been given a chance in life that they could not possibly have had without this free education, have delivered because the quality of the results speaks for itself. So even if you increase the number exponentially, it doesn't mean that it automatically results in a better grade. No. The better grade comes from a better quality of education. This was in our manifesto, by the way. And also, speaking to that, I'll get back to the issue later. Speaking to that, there was deliberate policy shift in ensuring that the curriculum is changed. That was part of what we said in 2021 would do, to make it more responsive to the needs of our learners, to the needs of our society, and also to take a competence-based approach. Of course, this will kick in as we go along from the time that the new curriculum was introduced. But the fact of the matter, as we speak now, is that for the first time in the history of this country, the best results have been recorded. What does that mean? It means our free education policy is working. It means the policy of employing 40,000 more teachers, plus more teachers, is working, because we are able to address the teacher-pupil ratio through those interventions. And in our 2026 manifesto, part of this that I've spoken of, employing public service workers, is still one of our key priorities. So there's no need for anyone to say or suggest that there should be change of government. We are in the right direction. We are moving Zambia forward together.
Okay. Now, you've touched heavily on job creation, which is one of your commitments as well. The manifesto commits to creating 2 million jobs and also just expanding TEVET training for over 100,000 young people. So now, given current youth unemployment concerns, what is the realistic annual breakdown of these jobs, and which sectors will absorb them, and just how will governments distinguish between formal, decent jobs and just temporal, informal work? Where will these jobs come from?
Thank you. First and foremost,
2 million is not a small number.
Yes, and the figures are there, the numbers are there to show that during this mandate, the current mandate, which is ending on 13th August 2026, 1 million public and private sector jobs were created. The numbers are there. They speak for themselves. President Hichilema has actually also talked about this. So if you say we'll double that, I don't think that it's, again, a pipe dream such as those that our competitors want to put across to the people of Zambia. It's achievable. It's realistically possible to do it, with growth being the focus rather than reconstruction that was the focus in the past. If under reconstruction we were able to create 1 million jobs, what more, to use a famous Zambian phrase, what more when we come in and now are pushing the growth agenda? Don't you see this, as the people of Zambia who are watching and listening to me, as a clear indication that that ambition of 2 million jobs may definitely be attained, possibly surpassed or exceeded?
The figures look good. I mean, I would also say the figures look good.
Yes, certainly. And again, this does not come from mere politicking or mere guesswork or plucking these figures out of the air. It comes from a dedicated, research-based approach, which is looking at what the numbers have said to us, what we have achieved through those numbers, and the clear vision that we have. Now, you asked about the sectors where this job creation is going to come from. It's across the board. We're looking at the agro sector. We're looking at mining and minerals, value addition. We're looking at manufacturing. We're looking at tourism. And I'll give a typical example in terms of tourism. Why this, our manifesto ambition that has been put in with regard to job creation is realistically doable. Our tourism sector has grown to 2.5 million arrivals per year, from a dismal number as we were coming out of the COVID situation. What does this mean? Realistically, what does it translate to? If we are talking about 2.5 million, which we've achieved in this first
the
term.
target again, was it 5 million?
The target for the next mandate is 5 million. 5 million. Yes. So we've done half of that already. Now, what does this mean? Tourism sector requires us to work in various job capacities, whether you're a waiter, whether you're a housekeeper, unskilled, skilled, both are able to work in these environments in the tourism sector. I've just given an example of the hotel industry, for example. You're talking about cooks. You're talking about the managers who are going to run the business. Let's talk about our national parks and the ability for them to generate income for us. 2.5 million arrivals achieved during this first mandate. Why would we then say that the 5 million target is not achievable? It's a matter of doubling it. And that can be done through prudent policies, amongst them the foreign policy that we deploy. When we go out there and tell the people of the world that Zambia is open for business, that Zambia is a haven of peace, that Zambia has had 7 presidents passed on through a bloodless democratic transition. We are attracting the people of the world to come to Zambia and spend their hard-earned money in this our country through the tourism sector and through direct investment. And talking about direct investment, I think I can quickly move. You will have heard, and I'll give a very current example. You would have heard, I hope, in the last week, a number of news items that speak to how we have deployed our foreign policy. 2 years ago or so, we had President Hichilema conduct a state visit in Egypt. And I was there. So I'm speaking firsthand from my knowledge. During that state visit, we had a number of business side meetings. Amongst those that we met are a group called Arab Contractors, the biggest contracting group in Egypt and arguably in the Arab world. Very well financed and able to deploy their capital. They shortly thereafter promised $500 million in investment in this country. Last week, we heard the news item, or was it even this week, where the ambassador of Egypt to Zambia did in fact say that the Arab contractors are beginning to deploy that private-public partnership agreement that was made between us as a country and them. $500 million guaranteed coming into our economy. This answers your question around what are our plans, how do we achieve them going forward, and of course also around where these jobs and the value addition for our people will come from. This speaks to that. Now, what is some of the areas that these our partners want to be able to participate in? I took time and went and deliberately printed this for me to be able to speak to it. The project pipeline and locations include the construction of roads, Muniunga Jimbe Road project, the other roads, Mutanda Jimbe Kasempa Road, and Seluka Mpulungu, and also a lot of effort in the projects in Muchinga. Aside from that, they want to ensure that they bring local empowerment in their interaction through this particular project that they are bringing, through skills transfer and training for local Zambians that will participate in this particular. Now, what more do you want to see in terms of practical outcomes of our governance style, of our administration style? These are deliberate efforts. Nothing happens by chance. You don't get up in the morning and say, my vision is to release all those that were arrested, and you say you're bringing governance to the country. We'll release all of them, whether they are criminals, whether they've been convicted by court of competent jurisdiction for tribal talk or for corruption. You just say we'll release them and that is a vision. No, this is 2 years in the making. From 2024, when the intervention was done, you are seeing the outcome. You can see an orderly way of doing things and practical outcomes. I deliberately wanted to bring evidence of what we are talking about so that we are speaking from reality, not...
With job creation, if you had to give it a score out of 10, how would you rate yourselves as the new Dawn administration?
I don't think it would be that simple as a score out of 10. If you'd want to look at it from the perspective that we are still delivering, yes, we have delivered. There's still a lot more to be done. We want to do much more than that has been done now. So you cannot possibly say it's as black and white as saying a score out of 10, because a lot has to be done. But let's put it this way. We have created public sector jobs. Again, I gave an example of in the education sector, 40,000 teachers. That is also in the health sector. You know that health workers were employed during this period. That is also in the security environment. You know that police, Zambia Army, and all the other security wings recruited. Aside from that, we have brought in a deliberate policy of private sector participation, and the private sector has created jobs as well. So if you were to put me against the wall, I would take it from the perspective of what our intention is of 2 million jobs in 2026. We did 1 million in this period, 2021, 2026 and beyond, for 2 million jobs. And prior to that, we've done 1 million. So we obviously would be saying we are at about 50% of what we want to achieve. So if it's a score, I would say 8 out of 10.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Let's now move on to...
I hope I didn't go around in circles answering that question.
We now move on to cost of living as well as inflation reality. So, all the manifesto promises to reduce the cost of living, Zambia's inflation has remained volatile. Recently recorded at around 7 to 9% in early 2026. So, what specific food and essential items will see price reductions first? And maybe by how much, and maybe just throwing in timeline.
That's speculative.
And what timeline should households expect before feeling real relief? Because this has been one of the biggest issues right now.
I think I would speak, again, I'd hate to speculate. I would speak from the perspective of what we are dealing with realistically now. As you know, inflation when we came in was sitting at 24%. In 2021. It's now, as at May 2026, at 6.5%. Everyone who's an expert in this field, and even us lay people, we understand the direct link between inflation and the cost of living. Of course, the rate at which the cost of living goes down as inflation reduces, I would not have the expertise to speak to, but it's a known fact that there's a direct link between inflation and the cost of living. Your basic food needs, your basic basket, if you
know. And if we
know...
have to look at for the month of May, the basic needs and nutrition basket is standing at about 12,000 kwacha for a family of 5. But again, this is not what in 2021, with your promises, this is not what was promised to the Zambian people. So what message do you have for them now? Why should they trust you again with this mandate?
Yes.
When you say the bag of milling will be at 50 kwacha, your words, not ours.
I think we're going into semantics. Yes. Okay, what was the bag of mini meal standing at in 2021? It was about what, 140. What has happened in between now? In between 2021 and now, from the global economic perspective, we all know and accept that the global economy has gone through significant challenges. Every country in the world has faced those challenges and is seeing an increase in the cost of living. Why would we as Zambians want to pretend that these factors do not apply to us? What is different about us to say that we can be static when the whole world is feeling the effects of global challenges? And I think we need to be realistic as we speak about these matters. But talking about realism, you asked the question, going forward, why should we be trusted? Clearly, the deliberate efforts that have been put in place, and yes, I'm responding to your question. Yes, and the answer can be seen. And the answer, yes, definitely, and the answer can be seen. You had the Zambia Association of Manufacturers, or is it the Association of Millers, beg pardon, have clearly stated that there is a positive reduction in the price of milling meal. That is a fact, and this is why I'm telling you I'd like to speak from facts. Not that things that we are saying as government, but what is being said by the industry. No. The reduction is, of course, we would still, everyone would want to see the cost of a bag of mini meal reduced as much as possible, myself included, yourself included, and everybody else that is here in the studio with us. That's a reality. And how do these things happen? They don't happen by chance. You have to have the correct mix of economic management and the factors of production, as well as supply and demand. Now, again, we don't want to go into these complicated details, but one aspect of supply and demand that definitely we can talk about that has been positively impacted on is the aspect of our staple food. What do I mean by this? That 5 million metric tons bumper harvest, without a question, will have a direct impact on the cost of milling meal because of the phenomenon of supply and demand. And the Zambia Association of Manufacturers have said we've seen a reduction of milling meal in the last short period by over 70 kwacha. So if then you are seeing a clear reduction taking place, what would then suggest with a bumper harvest of 5 million metric tons that this would not progress even further beyond where we are? There's nothing scientifically to suggest that we will regress. It is realistic. It is. No, Hope. It's realistic. What more realism do you want when we are saying for the first time you have more than enough milling meal? You know the laws of supply and demand. All of us know the laws of supply and demand. When you have more of a good or service, you bring down the price. We have 5 million metric tons. The staple, what we all talk about every day, akabunga. clearly is being addressed. And the price, yesterday, just the other day, I saw on social media, there was a circulation of a price of 179 kwacha per bag of meal. Clearly, the price is going down. Clearly, the conditions have been put in place to see a continual reduction in the price of meal. So, what then would justify saying that you need to move these people because they have not fulfilled their promise? The promises are being fulfilled.
The other big question should be right now, which you need to respond to, is when will the citizens feel this relief?
Because they're feeling already. Already, they're feeling them, because the relief is beginning to come. Of course, as I said,
beginning to come, but we're just looking at the BNNB for the month of May, and this is
yes, but
increase.
As I said,
now for a family of 5, 12,000 kwacha.
As I said, I haven't seen those figures that you're talking about, but as I said, I'm giving you a typical example of your staple, which is what we all talk about, the kabunga. Repeatedly, I think I've clearly demonstrated that there is a reduction that has come, a reduction that would be seen going forward from the factors that are in place. Now, that also is not to suggest that we take an arrogant position. I think, please, let's not be misunderstood here. As I said right from the outset, we have delivered, but we recognize, and in our manifesto, we speak to that fact that there is more to be done. And this is what prudent leadership does. It doesn't pluck promises out of the sky and say, I'll give you an excavator, all of you, when I'm elected. No, we speak to realities and we put our hands up and say, hey, we have agreed to Asumina. There is more to be done. And this is where we say, let's not disturb the flow. Let's not disturb the fact that the background, the basic, the foundation has been put in place. Now we're looking at growth. And there are all the indicators that this growth will actually take place. I just talked to you about one of the key interventions that has seen an outcome. And there are many, many more to come.
Okay. Well, in case you're just joining us, this is Conversations with Hope, and our guest this morning is Mlambo Haimbe State Council. We'll be opening up the phone lines if you have any questions or contributions to make. Let's now move on to another very critical sector, which is the energy sector. Let's touch on the energy crisis as well as the 10,000 megawatts ambition in your manifesto. So the manifesto targets expanding electricity generation from about 3,400 megawatts to over 10,000 megawatts. Now, given load shedding pressures, what projects are already bankable? You know, what can you point at there? And just how much is currently under construction? And what is the real energy mix between hydro, solar, thermal, as well as wind?
Okay, thank you. I'll quickly run through some of the projects that are on tap in creating this energy, electricity diversity, rather than relying too heavily on hydroelectric. Currently, we are relying on hydroelectric. It's about 80% of our energy production, generation. But there are several projects that are in place. I'll run through a few. In Chizamba, we have 100 megawatts that is completed, and phase 2 of another 100 megawatts is underway. In Kasupe, we have 7.5 megawatts construction underway. In Choma, we have 100 megawatts that has been completed. Chipata West, 100 megawatts. Serenje, 25 megawatts. Mansa, 50 megawatts. Mombwa, 100 megawatts. Siavonga, 100 megawatts, and so on and so forth. There's about a list of about 30 projects I'm seeing here that are actually taking place and will be on tap in the shortest possible time. Thermal, we have Mamba, which is doing 300 megawatts, again also being expanded. But in terms of the more holistic and broad response to the ambition of 10,000 megawatts, you would have heard, again, I like to give very practical examples. You would have heard in the news within the last day or so that South Korea, for example, has come with a 500 megawatt project, is coming with a 500 megawatt project, has committed 900 million United States dollars to that project. This is, in practical terms, the company that is going to undertake this, known as KS Eco Solutions Holdings Limited, was in Zambia. I think they might still be in Zambia now. And I recall, again, I specifically visited South Korea during my tenure as Foreign Affairs Minister, and went and had conversations with the business sector around some of these interventions, including in the energy sector. So we're looking at practical outcomes and solutions. We're not just speaking from without. Now, aside from this, I personally, together with the Honorable Minister, or then Minister of Energy, Honorable Makoso Chikote, was given an assignment sometime during the course of last year to go and visit diplomatically our neighbors so as to increase the amount of power that is exported by them to Zambia, and to increase, in terms of Zimbabwe, our drawing rights from Kariba during this period of crisis and beyond. So these are interventions that speak to a permanent solution to some of the challenges that we have, increasing the capacity that we have in terms of
what you mentioned. We cannot really predict what the outcome might be.
Yeah,
so when you
but you see, you have a vision. You need to have a vision. You don't just say that we are going to ensure that we deal with the energy sector. You have to be able to put in target. That's what a visionary leadership does. You say this is what we want to achieve, and you put in place the building blocks to achieve that, including our interventions. I didn't finish with the various countries outside, as well as our own internal interventions, foreign direct investment in the energy sector. I've given you a practical example of South Korea.
You point at some that are already funded, and maybe are we going to be focusing on future investments?
Yes. So I already gave you a list of those that are funded and are under construction, and some of them have been completed. I'm giving a broad overview. We went to Japan, and we have Japanese companies that are interested, including some of the bigger ones, in building, and have come and done feasibilities, solar projects in this country. We have engaged with the World Bank. We have engaged with the other financing institutions to fund some of the projects that we're looking at. The EU has also looked at participating in this. So, for example, there is an interconnector between Tanzania and Zambia, which is currently under construction. On the Tanzanian side, it has started coming to the Zambian side. This is going to bring excess Tanzanian power into the country, Zambia, and address this ambition of achieving 10,000 megawatts. It's not just there, and I've been there personally as Minister of Foreign Affairs when these negotiations have taken place and the conversations are being had. So I'm speaking from a practical perspective. Similarly with Angola, similarly with Zimbabwe, I think there's a project that is underway as well, and as well as Malawi. So this is not, as I said, simply saying that we're going to increase to 10,000 megawatts. It is actual practical steps that have been taken, and we're seeing these starting to kick in. Some have already taken place. Mamba is happening as we speak. I've already listed some of the solar projects. I've given you a practical example of Korea having come in place. What more do we want? Now, there is even a much bigger project that is underway that cuts across the sectors: energy, agric, mining, and so on and so forth. You will recall that sometime last year, I think it must have been in August, we had a visit from a Qatari group called Al Mansur. 19 billion United States dollars has been earmarked to come into Zambia to be able to attend to all these our ambitions. What more practical steps do you want to see? What more practical outcomes do you want to achieve? What more visionary leadership do you want to have, other than someone who talks about releasing people from jail, when we have all these tangible, realistic outcomes that we are looking to achieve and are achieving as we do so?
Now, since we were discussing the energy sector, let's marry it with the mining sector, which is heavily dependent on the energy sector. So under mining, your manifesto aims to increase copper production to 3 million tons. So what investment levels are required, and just how will benefits be shared beyond just the large mining firms to surrounding communities? Because that's been another argument as well. You know, how are these communities going to benefit? We can throw in the small-scale miners as well.
Yes, the first and foremost, as part of we spoke about governance earlier. I didn't talk about the local content provisions that have been enacted. Also, free education has been enacted, by the way, so it is not just a dream, but it's a reality. But in the mineral, Mineral Regulation Commission Act, I think that's what it's called. Again, forgive me if I'm not very precise. But the law that regulates how the mining sector will conduct its business has enshrined clear provisions as to how local content will be handled. You and I, local suppliers, have been protected by the law, which requires all mining sector investors to have local partners for the supply of goods and services, and of course the various other aspects that you've referred to. So that is enshrined in law. Nobody can escape it. So that clearly already is the first starting point. But also in terms of attracting this necessary investment to be able to achieve the target of 3 million metric tons. Already you would have heard that we have beat, this year will have exceeded the 1 million metric tons psychological threshold. This 3 million metric tons is by 2031. So quite clearly, the idea is to triple production within this period, next five-year period. How is that to be achieved? Again, we can see practical outcomes. Not too long ago, His Excellency the President was commissioning Mingomba mines, scheduled to be the biggest copper mine in the country, amongst the biggest on the continent. Already, that tells you that there is a direct link between policy promulgation and policy implementation. That will speak to our 3 million metric tons. You have seen in Luanshya that the dewatering project has been more or less completed, and we are soon to start mining in Luanshya from a mine that has been dead for 23 years. That will speak to our 3 million metric tons. And that, by the way, trickles down to everybody. Suppliers, mine workers who are engaged directly, contractors. That speaks to the local economy where those mines are located. Creation of jobs. Addressing all these matters that we have put as wanting to achieve in our next 5-year mandate. And those are the practical outcomes. We have seen Konkola Deep is coming on stream. How many years, I know you know this very well, Hope, have we been talking about Konkola Deep as a country? Over 30 plus years. It's now for the first time becoming a reality. All these are taking place and the plans have been put into effect. We have attracted $12 billion in actual investment in the country. Actual in the various sectors. All this speaks to how we are going to achieve what we have said we'll achieve.
What would you say has been the main focus in these 5 years for the UPND administration under mining? What was the main focus?
To restore the mining sector. Everyone was gone. We know that. Mopani was dead. KCM was dead. It was gone. Talk about other mines that had been dead for much longer. You can imagine over 40 years, Kalengwa mine has not been as productive as it should have been in Northwestern Province. It's back on tap, on stream, including greenfield projects that are now taking place. So clearly, the effort that has been put has been to revive the mining sector, and that has happened. And of course, attracting new mines as we speak. And our policies are such that we are saying that Zambia is an attractive investment destination. Many more people are making inquiries. And by the way, part of what we have said, the President has talked about this over and over again in terms of the greenfield, the new mining tenements. We're changing the model. We're saying the people of Zambia must benefit more directly from these mines. So instead of the usual shareholding, equity stake, we're saying we are going into these new ventures as joint venture partners, whereby the government takes a stake, be it 49%, a significant stake, and the investor takes 51%, and that entails that the trickle down to the people of Zambia is more significant than taking a shareholder approach. Yes.
We move on to agriculture. You proposed 10 million tons of maize production, 3 million under irrigation, and 500,000 hectares of new irrigation schemes. And the question around this now is where exactly will this expansion happen? And maybe just who will finance it, And how will you ensure storage? There's markets to consider, and also extension services, with these projections.
Okay, so again, these have already begun. these processes have already begun. For example, in regard to irrigation and smart agriculture, we have engaged some of our key stakeholders outside of the country. Of course, I'll always be biased towards our foreign policy deployment. So forgive me if I constantly speak in that regard. But you've seen that, for instance, China has come in heavily to address the irrigation aspects of our plans that were there before, and now we are enhancing in the 2026 cycle. We have expertise that are helping. Just this morning, I was listening to a news item where the Permanent Secretary, Mr. Kamanga, of the Ministry of Water, I was speaking to the fact that the water harvesting schemes, that is dams and other methodologies used to ensure that we store our rainwater, have now reached an advanced stage. You actually have seen, even through CDF in some of the areas, the construction of dams to ensure that we have sufficient water for irrigation. So that is already taking place. And the beauty of our policies and how they are deployed, and the visionary leadership of President Hakainde Hichilema, is that even in CDF itself, which has been increased, by the way, from 1.6 million kwacha to 40 million kwacha per constituency across the country, monies which are received regardless of where the constituency is. So in some of those constituencies, I'm aware, for instance, that in Kalomo, the MP deliberately used CDF to be able to reconstruct dams that had collapsed and rehabilitate them so they are able to store water for irrigation. And this is actually taking place. But also importantly, it's the proof of the pudding is in the eating. I haven't used that expression in a while. We are sitting at 5 million metric tons. Let's not forget that. How did we achieve that 5 million metric tons? Through prudent agricultural policies. That's how we got there. Through cleaning up the FISIP program, which was inundated with a lot of challenges and a lot of corruption that was taking place in there. Through effective use of the e-voucher system. This is where how we are seeing these 5 million metric tons. And of course, through policy pronouncement and encouraging the people of Zambia, you and I, to work harder and to delve into agriculture. I have my own little small holding. I don't know whether it's 1 acre or whatever it is. I'm able to grow my own maize so that we gaya and we eat. So this is what has brought what we are talking about, and this is what will inform the agricultural growth going forward. And it's not just the 10 million metric tons. There's also 3 million metric tons of soybeans. And how do we achieve that? First of all, one of the key aspects of the whole trading in any sector is that you must have a ready market.
Sure.
And we have a ready market of 2 million metric tons an order from China. So it's for you and I, the people of Zambia, through these policies, through the funds that are availed. There are a number of grant-based funds that have been given through the Ministry of Small and Medium Enterprises, as well as through the Ministry of Agriculture with our strategic partners. As we speak, you talked about storage. We have an entity known as AGRA. I forget what the actual words in the acronym are. That is working in partnership with us on the Lobito corridor, for instance, and along the line of rail, the current Zambia railway system, which we are looking to rehabilitate. They are already scoping for us to be able to build silos so that there is storage for our produce along the line of rail, and of course in the areas where the production actually takes place, and it will ease the transportation of our produce to the transport corridor, the economic corridor, Lobito and Zambia Railways, and of course Tazara. So all of these are deliberate policies that are meshing together to achieve the best interest of the people of Zambia. And this is the foundation stage. The next is the growth stage. That's why we should not disturb this visionary leadership.
We now move to governance, violence, and political order. The party has spoken about restoring order and reducing political violence. However, we've seen some incidents. We've seen some reported attacks in Mazabuka, Chawama, just to mention a few that have raised concern. So what institutional or legal reforms will ensure that political order is sustained, and just also that, state institutions remain neutral? There's been questions around neutrality of these state institutions, especially during elections.
Yes, I think the first and foremost political will that has already been demonstrated, that continues to be demonstrated. It's unfortunate that you will have these pockets of certain incidences of violence, and I'll be the first to stand here and confirm that UPND condemns those incidences, regardless of who the perpetrators are, whether it's internal strife or whether it's interpolitical party strife. It is not acceptable. I'm aware that the Zambia Police Service has stepped in to try and address this. I know also that the ECZ, during this campaign period that we are in, has taken certain measures. These measures have, by the way, been taken in the past as well. Some have been proved to be effective. But the most important thing is the clear message that has come from the highest office that this sort of approach cannot be condoned, and that anyone who finds themselves in conflict with the law are by themselves. They're not going to be supported by any of us within the political party, and will not be treated any differently from other citizens. So I think that's the answer I can give in the long and short.
All right, we're now opening up the phone lines. If you have any question or contribution to make, the numbers to dial are 0773-792-475, 0773-792-475, as well as 0761-997-997. If you have any question or contribution to make, you can give us a call on any of these two lines. We still have a lot of questions to ask this morning around the UPND's 2026 manifesto, but we would love to hear from you from what has been shared so far. If you have any questions to ask, give us a call. Hello, good morning.
Morning, madam. How are you?
Fine, thanks. Good morning. Your name?
This is Mlenga, the voice of Luapula.
Mr. Mlenga.
Haimbe, how are you?
Mlenga Widomishan, once again we are having an opportunity to converse.
Tulina bashukuru n'abamama bali umfona abantu abenja arera ndati akaga rumendo kalirondolola bwino nombe sungu ndishire tupika kaka rumendo kebe kale vika
munjereko na papata
walishi baba mama bali umfwako panono wa chinyanje nangu chiwemba kweshera ati papata fulani sungu kakwati kali kwa Amerika.
Mwara wachito explain ati nifi wachitalanda
twatotera
emkwe
ichikalamba ifyo mulondolwere na mulondolola bwino sana ekyo ndeba abantu balina oshita kyakwe bati tuli panshita yakwisa mukusola mu paketi ni August ichikalamba epotawula mololesha pali manifesto bantu ama manifesto yengi sana epotawula alanda pali manifesto epotawula alolesha pali manifesto omuntu alelanda nonkamishitira amamazembe kumwipusha festi ero epota tulakuvotera na manifesto yobe sinshi wachitapo ero walitawula fwagu president sinshi wachitapo. For example, akainde ichilema twalishi bati ali ni fama alikwete n'ababonfi abengi sana akainde ichilema alikwate ng'ombe Zambia yonse alikwata n'ababonfi akainde ichilema alikwete amakampanya yengi sana ayimbisha n'ababonfi ukwisha nomba kuli bu president epota tulalanda pali manifesto chalo cha Zambia wali president sinchi achitapo akainde ichilema free education countrywide yapali wingalanda galechita benefit muri free education nangu umwana wobe galechita benefit ngo mwayi chobe ngo mwipwa wobe nganisi wobe galechita benefit ama farmers ruko atefyoresa naye nako attention mwamone efo mfwisha abantu tension lesa balera ndajaka inde ichilema alepera ama farmers mu makap fertilizer alepera mu makap fertilizer alepera mu mameta nga bampa base yafuma kuisha fertilizer nga yali mu makap
Mlenga twatotera mkwai
lesa pali omulaba sefwe kutikawa na kurulemba tatula
emkwaya kutukawa twatotera. Okay. All right, let's take in more calls. 0773-792-475. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, my sister.
Good morning, thanks. Your name?
Yeah, this is Kingsley, voice of Jambavari.
Kingsley. All right, Kingsley, go on.
Yeah. Wamambo Haimbe, mwabuga butimda.
Gawot mawauti. Buti uchamba valio. Twalumba. Thank you very much. Ziko mwakwambi.
Yeah. I think ofo tingalanda po. Tibamulenga n'abalondo labwino. I think in a parwandi fiteti mbwekere oku unu mwako twafunawe. I don't give unto never get benefit. Even peace itself, we are benefiting. Because it into very become PF. If a man my market or any sunny Gemini, because it's been a thing to be done. I am open among I got to take it down with Gatashi. Even Jesus himself is not everyone who appreciated whatever he was doing. They quoted all sorts of names. Utininganga is a witch doctor, but it's bound against the minute. Now who is again? So imagine Muntu Munan can Bana school Bakutia, passing rate on percentages. Ever since time in memorial, we have never recorded such kind of no passing rate in our country. So the beginning of Bana Bakuti school, they are no longer starting because the concentration in the one because the Anjana.
All right, Mr. Kingsley, you should be wrapping up. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Oh, thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Have a great day. All right, let's take in more calls. 0773-792-475, 0761-997-997. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, Rob.
Good morning, thanks. Your name?
I'm Blake, Jimmy, morning State Council.
Good morning, thank you. How are you today?
Blake, I think Kuro State Council, that's a Mount Billion project, that is a water project in Bowden.
Thank you.
It's kind I always see it on daily basis. But now, here is card. State Council, I want to give you piece of advice. And please take this seriously. Here is the card. The way you do politics in the copper belt in Lusaka, you need to be cautious. Why am I saying so? I am not going to hide from you. Here in Lusaka and Copper Belt, people, they don't vote for manifestos. They don't look at what you've done. This is the reality. Now, how would you conduct your rallies? I'm giving you a piece of advice. Believe me, you State Council, if you are going to play down where you hire musicians and the right kind of arrangement, you just go solely with your manifestos. Believe me, you're going to miss it. I know what I'm talking about. Along the line of roadway, you can bring heaven on earth. Here, State Council, people, they believe in lies. These are the facts on the ground. So if you are not going to play your politics well to certain copper belt, this one, take my advice seriously. Please, can you get organized, do proper rallies, bring musicians and the like? You know, perception is everything. Here's the card. What am I doing to the close? Look at these guys, these two rallies they had. You know what I mean? Perception, you know what I mean? People are saying they're very popular when they are not. Now, then the last one of contention, State Council. I'm so shocked. I called some of the guys from the rural areas where we are coming from. You know, these unopposed MPs, you can imagine, up to this time around, they are not campaigning. Come on, Mr. State Council. Let's free the resources. And finally, these presidents who have joined you, can you scatter them, Rosarakan, different places, Nevers and the crew? Let them go and campaign flat out. Thanks, Jimmy here.
All right, Jimmy, thank you so much. Right, let's take in one more before we allow him to respond. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Good morning, you're through to Capital FM.
Yes, good morning. This is William Ngenda from Bowden.
All right, Mr. William, go on.
Yes, good morning, Honorable Haimbe.
Good morning, Mr. Ngenda. How are you today?
No, me, I'm okay.
Thank you.
Yes, nifuno ongaziko mupadi project emunatisira yamanzi tiona abantu basebenza ero ni maloko bagwira at least kuchira kunkara chabe. Then question eni nayo ba honorable nyakwe bati ni chanji nalengesa kuti muchite withdraw. Mwenzo funo chitali contest but kuma last mwachita withdraw. Ni chanji nalengesa munaona tipa ground simulipo o sinizi akapenda munaleke kuti mnapasa chance munzanu wenze bwanji. Then when it comes ku issue ya unga sembe basebenzera hapo kamusanga ba president batu ba echeche munga mwamene benzo sebenzera hapa madezi ya kumbuyo hapa before vara parliament mabills yenzo tamanga fast. So there's pempa na kungani ya price ya at least ngabaileta ko pa 150. We know to say unga fike pale 50 kwaje jenze promise ya kudara hapo tinai barako but at least ngayankalako pa 150.
Okay.
Yes, hiyo ni reasonable price. Ndipo wafunika kusebenza hapo fast and Zambian baneni pamara. Hivyo vonze vemunga kambe ma policies ya bwanji na bwanja mene munga lete kuma mine to say kuma Victoria Falls kuma ma tourist shanshani. Muzambian izosanga bimve as long as she pamara sipari bwino.
Okay, zikomo,
madam.
All right. All right, we'll be taking in more calls. We're also taking note of some of the messages that are coming through on our Facebook page. We have Roy Dalison Jovo here on Facebook who says, immediately we put you in power, you pushed minimal prices to 480 kwacha, fuel to 35 kwacha, and electricity to 500 kwacha for 100 units. Why should we trust you again? All right, so there are all those questions there. You can respond to those concerns that have been raised.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you to all that have commented. I note that some of the comments are like Jimmy. I was giving advice. Jimmy, tamvera mve mwakamba, ziko mkwambiri. It's a matter of us listening to the views out there. We are a listening government, we are a listening party, and we value and treasure your views out there. And so we'll take a note of them. We would, of course, take the necessary action as suggested where possible. I think the voice of Luapula, that's Bamlenga, and the voice of Chamba Valley, were more or less giving a message of encouragement, and I think encouragement not just to us as the leaders, the leadership, and contesting re-election, but also a message of hope to the people of Zambia. And I'm sorry, no pun intended. It's clearly. They have seen the value of what this government has done, and they've clearly elaborated. I thank them for doing that. I hope those that are watching out there and listening are able to take a leaf from what the voice of Chamba Valley and the voice of Luapula said. I really cannot add more over and above what they've said, other than to thank them and to say let's keep forging ahead as a people together. As our manifesto says, we are looking at moving Zambia forward together. And this is profound. It's not just a mere statement. It shows the love and care that President Hakainde Hichilema has for the people of Zambia. That is demonstrated through the policies that have been implemented in the last 4 years and 10 months of our governance. It is about being a servant leader that wants to ensure that the well-being of the people is brought to a level where all of us can proudly say we are Zambian and we are benefiting from being Zambian. This is all that this is all about. Not about the personalities that our competitors have chosen, that would be their portion. That we talk about personalities, we talk about issues to do with individuals and so on and so forth. We are saying for us, we are delivery driven. We're driven by servant leadership. We're driven by wanting to have these outcomes that are measurable. As we've seen from our performance in the last 5 years, we have put in all that we can. working very hard to achieve it. But of course, importantly, we understand that there is more to be done. And that would lead me to responding to Mr. Ngenda. I think also, by and large, gave positive. Niziwa mfuna nkame mchinyanja, nizaesa mweninga hesere mkama mchinyanja, and other Zambian languages as we give this intervention. But by and large, really the issue is, thank you, Mr. Ngenda, for appreciating the water project that's taking place in Bawalini. I am particularly proud as immediate past MP of that particular project, because it took me lobbying from the Africa Development Bank, from the government, for us to be able to get that $1 million. It took me lobbying again from the Ward Development Committee, the CDF committee in Lusaka Central, for us to put in 5 million kwacha from CDF to do the local network reinforcement that would ensure that the water doesn't go to waste. So thank you very much. I'm happy that the people of Bawaleni are appreciating that. And as I keep saying, I know for a fact that my successor will pick up from there, will continue. There's a lot of work that still needs to be done by all of us. Why did I withdraw? I think I explained that, Mr. Ngenda, at the beginning of the show. It was really to look at a broader picture. So that we can all play our part in ensuring that the 5 million votes that we want for President Hakainde Hichilema are achieved. I hear you on the minimum unga kuti tisenzerepo mtengo ubwereko pansi futi, not payiri pa 170 pay Africa ibwere pa 150 tisebenzerapo mwanga mwezi nakambira Angenda mukayangana wa William na bumper harvest yamene tinayo sikukamba chabe kuti kuli bumper harvest yayi tiziwa noziwa kuti izi jamilisi zija zikambogulisiwa ndiye zamene zaleta mtengo wa munga kuti ubwere pansi. So bear with us. The building blocks have already been put in place. You will see an outcome shortly. Mr. Roy Njovu says, why should they trust us? I think Mr. Njovu has looked at...
And I believe that's the $1 billion question.
It is, and I've gone to great lengths to explain it. I know Mr. Njovu might want to keep asking. Mr. Njovu has talked about one aspect. According to him, he gave some statistics, which I'm not very sure are quite right, that Milimi reached 480 at some point and so on and so forth. Yes, the price of Milimi was high. I don't think it reached that amount, by the way. Yeah, but he gave a wrong figure. But why does Mr. Njovu want to ignore the fact that progressively, it's not just now during the campaign period, which I think he's trying to suggest, progressively these interventions have been working. There's been a reduction of the prices of our essential commodities. Let's accept that. Where we are now, the prices will continue to reduce because of the economic and fundamental factors that we have put in place. But he needs to look at the period holistically. He speaks specifically about when you came in, this is what happened. But let us look at what we are saying. Let us look at the fact that from 2021 to 2026, where we are sitting now, there has been, as I said, the progressive reduction, deliberate efforts. Let's not ignore, and this is where perhaps the intervention by Mr. Njovu has not been as helpful as it could be to those that are listening and watching. What else was being dealt with? Why did these prices have to go up at that material time? We were dealing with an economy that was broken and needed to be fixed. We were dealing with an economy where you had a debt over the purchase of fuel. That debt had to be paid. How else could you pay it other than ensuring that you removed some of the impediments to collecting the money so as to pay? Someone had to pay that debt for the benefit of the future of our country. For us to be able to get fuel at this time, an intervention had to be done. And I recall, I think I was on a program on one of the other radio stations. I almost said the name, but then I realized it's a competitor. We were very honest to the people of Zambia from the get-go, and we continue to be honest to the people of Zambia. Vice President, Her Honor, Madam Talina Lumango, spoke to the people of Zambia through Parliament right at the outset and said, we need to tighten our belts at this time. what more do we want than to take an honest position? Now we're being honest that the groundwork has been done. We are going to see.
How do you expect the Zambian citizens to judge you? Is it based on promises or what has been delivered?
It's based on delivery. It's based on delivery. So I'm
you do understand
specifically
why
responding.
Sentiments like what's coming
Yes,
from
but
Mr.
but
Njovu.
also I'm putting Mr. Njovu's sentiments into context. He has spoken about the initial period without talking about what the wider picture, why we found ourselves as a country in that situation. And I don't want to harp on the past mistakes of others. I want to talk about the fact that having found ourselves in that environment, we accepted the responsibility as the people of Zambia would expect us to do, and we dealt with it as prudently as possible. We are now seeing the benefits that are beginning to trickle to the people of Zambia holistically. So, Mr. Njovu, in other words, I'm advising you and the people who may also be asking the same question that you're asking, that look at it from not just then, but where we are now. And the fact that by and large we have dealt with these challenges. The only way we can go now is in a positive direction, where all the work that has been done in the last 5 years starts to bear fruit. It's like you've planted a maize field. You don't expect mwashanga milisi lero mairo mulina chani mwashanga munda wa milisi lero mairo mwamba kuteula. Everything has a process, and this is the process of growing that maize field that we've just gone through over the last 5 years. Now the time has come for us to pick those wonderful maize cobs that have come from the effort of planting that field. That is where we are now,
so
and the people of Zambia will benefit
from
it.
For Zambians to start seeing the results.
Oh, certainly.
Another 5 years.
Oh, certainly. You can see all the fundamentals. I've given many examples. I'm even parched. I'm thirsty now from talking so effectively about what we have been doing and why it's a foundation and groundwork. We are now taking off. It's like you have put fuel in your car, now you want to start the journey. And this is not the time to park the vehicle and say, okay, kansinzaenda. No, this is the time to take the journey with the right driver, who is President Hakainde Hichilema.
All right, we're taking more calls. If you have any question or contribution to make, 0773-792-475, 0761-997-997. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, my Minister Haimbe.
Good morning, sir.
You are still a minister. Olonga mwapa ni national morning. Isi ananai sevene Dr. Proud.
Dr. Proud, mnibwanji.
First of all, bantu banipempa, bayamikira Rubito corridor. Bafuna kuti kanjaji kaku chilenje kajabana kulisa moproto wa PF. Kachitiwe repossessed kazienda kuchilenje because it was a government asset wanasiya wakaunda. Was there bene mudubirera bene jine kwa tauna mekepizuru. Uvandarize those railway womayaba lungu through makasera zibao munivera omulambe Haimbe demo mukamba Rubito corridor outside na murusaka muno mutipangire kanjanje ko choka ku matero kaja kwenda ku chirenji whatever baragulisa maproto, those are not issue. Bafuna abantu bazikwerera transport ino chipa kwenda ku UTH. You know UTH is referral hospital right now. Nikala ku garden afanele ku Makeni. We are doing some strategic very high and factor. We got the Malati Pangina Road, but present to Hakainde. We are going to remember Mulambe Haimbe, Limata tonight with Yaga Mumanzi every day, Mr. Moderator. 1 hour home. Are you listening to me?
Dr.
Your directors managed to put a radio station in UPND government. No any beating. We want to salute hope. Go and launch a TV license. That was the cover through Capital FM. With these few things in 2013, Yala Africa, Mila send up another intercity Mabatwala Fukawe. Ever Wale Chamajenga Tenamukachaban. Nabarungu Valley visitors. Wale Tamwa Wekere for again never pay.
Okay, all right. So I talked to Dr. Proud. Thank you so much. Let's take in more calls. Hello, good morning.
Hello, Washington.
I'm going, Washington.
I'm going. Bana Peter,
Bana Peter, okay, Landento.
I'm going.
Hello?
Hello.
Okay, tule umfalandeni. Hello? Okay, if you can call back, your line is quite bad. Hello, good morning. Hello? Hello, good morning. Oh, the line is bad. We'll have to pick another call. Call back if you can. We couldn't get anything from that one. 0773 792475. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, thanks. Your name?
My name is Emmanuel Mainza. Calling you within Osaka.
All right, go on.
I would like to commend Honorable Haimbe for that wonderful discussion we are following. And indeed, the UPND government is doing wonderful work. So of course, we are not, but with the second half, we'll do more. Zambians, don't lose hope. We have a man who loves Zambia. Thank you so much. Vote UPND.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mainza there. We'll take it more calls. Hello, good morning.
Hello, Mashuken.
I'm quite Mashuken.
Bana Peter ku SOS.
Okay, and then my.
Quite ndandi ko valero ndo mu guest kulondo valero ndolola but lero pa bitatu fimona. Batu chishwalita ba UPND walenga chitoba fumyepo. Bali kuti manifesto isina sala ba UPND. Alitoa bunga buka sala 50 kwacha. 50. But lero to na show safe. Aba filo okubumba. Lo free education balandeyo. Free education yako muri bakawundo kwa sanga show semala. Noma part free education mali fomu yali rundwa sabato shali rundwa chance fintu shadula free education abana bayisura mu class economy mwanda kushopa economy rochedi ntwaikere mu 4 years ama business yali watu ayi kwashukulipira abana ma private no mwanda economy kushopa uchumwana tumutwale kushukuga government buko weka abana mu class 180 barefura no kubachonga free education yali tafe UBUKOPO futu wale kwa shoko batwira abana ma 200 bapia for free education one of grade 7 balungu baisa secondary twali kama 1200 bali free bali shefanya kama 1000 balungu twali kama 200 leto ashida kwa 200 bali shwati fifa ikapima school feeling na bana bale sambire fya ufika noti ababa tabale sambirira bale tafyo UBUKOPO free education baba fa free education bananga na bashibomba futo aliko so kubomba muzande tula fwaya bana twali kwa shugwa pele kubali kama private at free education but for fact mala kwate go tumana futo kwa mtu kwa tuition free education yashani ulefuna kuchitale pati ndipiro mwana ayi kuma tuition free education yale tafyo UBUKOPO ya bungala ndachubunga wala chipa bunga tawa akachipepo bali tola chibunga 50 kwacha tola 50 kwacha ali tola chibunga PF 120 wadula sana tetimule so 120 then 50 kwacha amalanda chibwachi pa wali kabe 180 200 diskuchipa ukuchipa tukasumira ngo baba 50 kwacha nangu 60 kwacha bali tola chibunga 120 free kumashita mwame bags ya bi tukasumira chibwachi pa nomba apa na bafira ipendi bali yamoga sifata bali fwaya yamkwai.
Okay, all right, let's take in one more before he can respond. Hello, good morning.
Yeah. Good morning, Madam Mudari.
Hello, good morning. Your name?
Yeah. God bless you and your family too. Listen, 95% the people of Ropla. Spokesperson Kapambwe. I am calling from here in Zingarumi.
Mr. Kapambo. All right, go on.
Thank you very much. Ba Jessica, Kashiandi Lesavino, Vitwakum. Bamlambwa imbi, bakalamba, Bible, mulero chapona bali Bible. Pantwichine, chikakule ngoku bomuntu ngwa. Uwa bulovu afya. Ili omwale panga kampeni nga ba UPND. Tamwaye belaji banani besu bayire ku skulu. Niba economy saba ishwo kushita increase. Mwabila tuba ishwo kushita reduce. Imwepo mwapashira maibeche ni pamulandu wa economy. Pamulandu wakatubunga kwa dula 120. Fio ya dula 120. Kuya kolongani ka certain group mwakapere mpia chisepe tuwaendere. Pari economy. 80% ya mwombere bye panganda pamienu. Imwa ba UPND mwa corruption ya mwaba mwali sendero muki 61 containers wa Zambian tabashwaneko mwabika nga mwali wikata waba kwi nga mwali shikishe mpya shaba kwi mwali kongora wa UPND 14 billion in 4 years. Let's
not lie on radio, sir.
mwalishi bati mulera muleya tulera n'olubuto ibyo mukita kyantimti amazambian babikyula babesho tumbua no money integration because of your amateur government imwe kabiyeni ba UPND mwalete nsala mukyalo imwe tapalajo mulesta tulera n'olubuto mundulire oye imwe
All right, Mr. Kapambwe, thank you. All right, so you have those to respond to.
I think there are four.
There are four.
Yes. I'm laughing. Imagine our competitors have got, they come, or those who support them, they come on public platforms to lie. It tells you a very big aspect of who we are dealing with. Of course, respecting everybody's democratic right to support who they wish to support. But it's important that we come on these platforms, national platforms as it were, and speak the truth so that we exchange ideas on the basis of truth. This, our dear brother who's just come from contributing, I'll start with him, makes a sweeping statement about $14 billion borrowed by the UPND government. That's what the level of desperation, I'm sorry to say, that we are dealing with. Because there are no policies, there is no answer that our friends have to the progressive environment, with the progressive way in which this UPND government has dealt with the national affairs. You come to radio and lie. $14 billion borrowed. Where? How? From whom? When? So that we compete in a realistic environment and the people of Zambia can make a proper choice. Not to
But you do understand that it is your responsibility as a party to give the Zambian people the...
Yes, this is what we're doing. And of course, it's also important that the competitors must use the fair ground that they've been given properly. And I urge the people of Zambia, this is the type of colleagues that will sit with us in our living rooms, in church, and will try to convince the people of Zambia that they should vote X instead of UPND. Using lies. Don't allow yourself to be lied to. And we all know, I won't even bother to give that lie the time of day. $14 billion borrowed by this administration. When in fact what has been done is a pure debt restructuring, which has removed the noose around our necks, where we had been encumbered up to our grandchildren. In fact, we can even talk about what has actually been achieved. Last week again, it was being reported that the 2053 bond instrument has been refinanced, so that encumbrance should not sit on our children and our grandchildren. The mess that was created by these colleagues who are today putting themselves forward for election under a different cover, that mess is being addressed today, and Wakapambwe should come and lie to the people of Zambia that there is $14 billion that has been borrowed, when the restructuring, the whole world is talking about what positive steps are being taken by this government to ensure the best for the people of Zambia. Let's be real as we speak. Dr. Proud, you have repeatedly mentioned this issue of Njanji commuter train being brought back. We hear you. I don't know how viable and possible that would be, but certainly we know the need for there to be an efficient rail system in the country in terms of not only the intra-town or intra-country rail systems like Lobito and others that we are looking at, Nakala, but also the Zambia railway system, like I told you last time, is being worked on so that at least we have an efficient means of moving goods and people across the country. So we hear you, and certainly amongst the plans for strategic economic movement. Mr. Kapambwe has, I'm still on Bana Peter. I think she went a long way, and interestingly, there's so much passion with which our friends speak, and that's the idea of competition. But also, I don't think any of us should be in a position to suggest that Muleya, Tashani, equally.
She also referred to your 2021 manifesto. I mean,
Yes.
What you're promising.
Yes, and I'm getting to that.
We had such a good manifesto 2021, but let's look at what came afterwards.
Yes, I'm getting to that, Hope. And again, it's a question of understanding what the manifesto said. First of all, in the 2021 manifesto, there was no reference to a particular price of mealie meal. Let's get that clear if we're talking manifesto-wise. Of course, in the conversations that we had at the time, it was made clear that our intention is to reduce the price of mealie meal to a price that the people of Zambia will find most acceptable. And that remains an objective. It remains what we want to achieve. And again, we're speaking about the realities of what we had to deal with, the effects of the debt which we found, the effects of restructuring, the effects of the economic environment that we found ourselves in.
Yeah, now, they will say you knew what this house looked like, but you wanted it.
And yes, it's been fixed, isn't it? It's being fixed. I mean, they are progressive, and yes, we understood. And that is why Hope, we've labored for the last 2 hours to explain that this is a process. Who is to suggest that perhaps these things are going to happen overnight when you have a mess?
And so
when you have a mess,
needed 5 years.
It has taken 5 years for us to do a phenomenal job, which other countries who have been in a similar situation with a debt trap have not been able to achieve what Zambia has achieved. Let's accept that fact. How many went under the G20 common framework, and how many have been able to achieve restructuring within that period? There's none. That has the track record that we have. So when Wakapambwe and Bana Peter come on this platform and say, where the party 60 kwacha, who said that the idea was that would be done overnight? Mwalawa, if you're on Okechalo, you forget that the country was in a dire state. Now mkwate nkongole but mlefa at muleria. How? Nkongole shifire shalipidwa first. And then you can talk about eating. Isn't that a fundamental thing? How Hope, you and I, if I'm owing the landlord money, how am I going to say that I'm going to benefit without first dealing with my landlord issues? It's a matter of using a proper way of looking at things. We are supposed to be able to say, yes, there was a situation which all of us found ourselves in, and in keeping with what you've suggested, that we found it.
Consistent and honest with the Zambian.
It's consistent. It's consistent because where are we sitting now? Are we sitting in the same economic environment that we were in when we moved in to power? No. There's been a significant improvement, and we must be able to do kwenyu for that work that has been done. Rather than coming on a platform like this, Bana Peter, free education, honestly, you cannot give credit where credit is due. You cannot appreciate this policy and its implementation amongst 2.5 million parents that have out there, and maybe perhaps more, that have benefited from this free education, the children and the parents both. Bana Peter can come and say, we were better off without free education. Honestly, are we not insulting the wider Zambian population that have benefited from and appreciate free education? Let's not do that. I would want to actually use this opportunity that those of us Zambians who are progressive, you don't listen to the likes of Bana Peter, as much as this is our opinion. You who appreciate what free education has brought into your homes, that is where the vote is. You must defeat those who speak in negative about positive aspects of what has been done by this government. It's in your hands. If you have benefited, your children have benefited from free education, and you find that you appreciate it, go and exercise your vote so as to express your appreciation through that ballot.
All right, we will be closing shortly. We've had a lot to unpack, but I don't think we've touched on the issue of Bill 7 and also just internal democracy within the UPND. So let's get to what went viral recently. Recent public debate around Bill 7 has raised questions about transparency and also just legislative processes. And there has also been political attention following President Haimbe Hichilema's naming of 4 ministers alleged not to have supported Bill 7. And so the question is, do you see such public naming of individuals over parliamentary decisions as consistent with democratic practice and also just internal party democracy? How does this speak to democracy?
I don't see any contradiction. We serve in public offices. Everything, or we served at least, to be clearer. Everything one does in public office is transparent. It should be clothed in transparency. So the naming of particular individuals in respect of the execution of a public function is in no way contradictory to democracy and democratic ethos. I don't think there is any, it's mutually exclusive. I don't think there is any misstep that the president took. It was a public function that was being undertaken. And of course, His Excellency, the President, gave his views about loyalty, about what we believe in these clubs that are political parties, that we must toe the line, we must speak the same language. Even within our democratic exercise of our democratic values and principles, we can, in an association such as a political party, we do have extensive debates internally. We speak about these matters and express ourselves fully. And at the end of the day, we agree to take a consensual position which reflects our principles and guidelines as a political party.
What happens to personal conviction?
Yes, we all will have personal conviction. Imagine, Hope, if you are in any system of governance or a political party, as it were, and everybody's personal views take precedence. How are you going to function? There has to be a point of convergence. And that is why internal democracy is important. We discuss and argue behind closed doors and reach a position that is common, that we all stand by. For the common good of the people, for the common good of those of us who associate with that particular organization. In government, it's called collective responsibility. It's enshrined in many systems of governance, including the one we've inherited from our colleagues in the UK. So it's nothing new or different about this.
I mean, issues about loyalty, should MPs be judged by, their loyalty to the president or the people that elected them?
As I said, I don't think they're mutually exclusive. I don't even wonder why the debate should be there. Because people come to the parliament either as independents or through their political parties, and they can represent the interests of the constituents and the electorate, even whilst taking a policy position in line with the political party they belong to, or in line with government. You have to have a principle within the grouping that you belong to. But that doesn't mean that you cannot fail to represent your people on account of being aligned. No. They're not mutually exclusive. The two work together, and that is how governments have been run from time immemorial. There's nothing unusual about that.
Okay. All right, we're taking the last set of calls. We're about to close. If you have any question or contribution to make, let's take in the last set of calls, and then we close. 0773 792 475, 0761 997 997. Hello, good morning.
Morning, Mama. Good morning, panel.
Good morning, thanks. Your name?
Yes, Mr. Haimbe, thank you very much for what you have articulated. I want to inform you that most of these people who are calling bad names about SOS, they are chair ladies and chairmen from the previous government. Like that woman from SOS, she's always there on the phone. We don't mind, even in PF it made mistakes. But let us appreciate free education. We have gained, we age people this time we are recognized. In PF, they were just taking PF people. This time we are taking the whole. It doesn't matter, Kaluware and Goni, we are with you. Meal, there is no government that has never increased the meal. Fuel, there is no government that has never increased the fuel. Where do we get fuel? We don't manufacture fuel in Zambia. And on meal, is there kind of rain? Is he good? He didn't know that there was going to be that drought. And how did you expect the commodity to be cheap?
Okay. All right, thank you. Sorry, we didn't get your name.
Sorry, Mama. My name is VDM. I'm calling from Kalingalinga.
Okay, those are initials, though. That's not your name.
Yes, and President Haimbe is one of the presidents who has come out when something is wrong to say, I'm sorry. Rome was not built in a day. Actually, Zambians, we should know that a president should rule for 2 terms because it's when he can do things properly.
Okay.
Even
All right, thank you so much.
In 1 year, 2 years, you cannot put it in the script. You don't even know your husband. You don't know the relatives. So people, let us vote Haimbe. Mr. Haimbe, get my number. I have more to tell you because this is just a short day. Others want to contribute. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much. Thanks for calling.
Thank you, Zambian. Thank you.
All right, have a great day. All right, let's take another call. Hello, good morning. Hello?
Morning, Hope.
Hello, good morning. Thanks. Your name?
Honorable,
Honorable, all right, your name?
Honorable Mkosa.
Mukosa, all right, go on.
Honorable is the constituents. Good morning, Honorable Haimbe.
Good morning, Mkosa Mulibwanji. Yes, go.
No, you are speaking very well, Honorable.
Thank you so much.
Let me take this opportunity to thank the works and good things that you did for Lusaka Central. You did your part. No one can blame you, and no one can say a lot of things. You did your part, and it is good that you have given a chance to other people also to contribute. Yeah, talking about how UPND has performed, we need to state this from the onset that UPND has done a lot, and there is still more to be done. Because world over, there is no government or a political party which alleviated or solved all the problems within the period of 5 years. And even when people are making a comparison between the PF and the UPND, PF was in power for 10 years. What did they do? Huh? Apart from kutisira mangongole, kutisira abana watu makomoni bangala majange, abana wamene wapelekewa kuma free education. Mr. Haimbe, when you hear people rubbishing free education, just understand that they belong to PF. Because during their time, capitalism was more important than education. So that is their thinking. Them everything about the free education, they want to align everything with free education in a cost of living. Eh? It is our responsibility as parents to take our children to school. Or vintu vidule visadule. Now the question they must ask themselves if they are saying vintu vadula. Sembe vintu vadula then in a maskulu balipira. Sembe bakwani sa.
All right.
So
all right,
we need
Honorable Mukosa, thank you so much.
Yes, let me conclude in this manner. The president needs our support. He has laid the foundation, and we need to help him through supporting and voting for him to build on the foundation that he has laid. We are all aware what this president has done. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much. Let's take in the last call. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. It's 0773792475. Hello, good morning. Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, UBUKOPO.
Bueno, Mlipwanji, your name?
Buna Edward Kubauren.
Edward. All right, Edward, go on.
Okay. Nifuna kukamba ko niwakumbushe kochabe ni waimbe bali ukwani.
Yeah.
Waimbe noti waivale manje pa mutu noti manje 4 years ago. Wanabwera mu 2021. Benzo wanabwera ku Paulen pamoja na Hakainde na Kosamu na wamene Haimbe na venangu amene siniziwa. Kosamu meaning ndiye ndani wa Paulen. Kansela wa Paulen ndiye Kosamu. Wanabwera pamoja na Hakainde kuboro gwada kuja ku Paulen ku draft club kwa mene uya amena choko kamba po mkosha. Mazo nzeri ku Paulen mkosha. Aziwa pa market then kamba ku draft kuzi. Anapwera kugwada amene vandani Haimbe pamoja na Hakainde. But ukamba tazona po kwapwera pa radio ambo kamba vaboza ati wachita chano pereka development in Paulen. Ni development hapa. Hakainde wana 300 kwacha pa draft club ya Paulen.
kuti titandizike na 100 kwata amene kupempha mavoti tinawavotera ife wakainde bati chitikukositira chone mumbauleni akazibwerapo vaimbe vakambati vanapereka chitukuko mbauleni panachinja tanki amene ayenza anapanga ndani tanki ayimika kapya mwanakati utaweze noichinja noipangati CDF development mapoza chezeka veka vasazina mapoza vaimbe.
Okay, vai zikomo tamvela.
Okay, vasazina mapoza but.
Okay, zikomo.
I think I need to respond this comedy. Kaya munkara kuti mukauka wewe bole ni yakuti yamwe munkara waitwadi. Ibo simuona manzi pipeline iko. Munkara kuti manzi simuona yanabwera from Crossroads. Manzi for the first time you have manzi yakukafiwe musimu yakukafiwe not yamabo yali contaminated. No, he doesn't understand what he's talking about. So he's talking about a water tank that burst at the Katambarara market area. This was in 2021. This water tank burst and I replaced it with my own resources and put up that I've replaced the tank. That's what he's talking about. He's talking about one water tank. We've built $1 million facility with a 400 cubic liter main tank sitting at Leopards Hill number 1 Boho along Leopards Hill Road, which is feeding the pipeline, which is due to feed the pipeline and ensure that we have 24/7 potable, clean drinking water in Bauleni. No more cholera, no more issues of diarrheal diseases, no more drinking water that is contaminated with nitrites that comes from the boreholes around that area because they're near a graveyard and of course because of the shallow wells. We have built a maternity annex which is still under construction at Bauleni Hospital. For the first time, the women of that particular community will not have to go all the way to Chilenje and they will not have to go all the way to UTH in order to deliver. There will be dignity in the processes. We have constructed a mortuary for the first time in that particular community where the dead will not have to be taken to UTH, to Chilenje, or kept in their homes. They are decently dealt with. We have ensured that all these facilities, health facilities in Bauleni, have got 24-hour power through solar, and therefore reduce the cost of running the facilities and ensure that we have power at all material times, especially in the labor wards of the two institutions that we have there. We have reconstructed entirely the roof for Prince Takamado School, which was an asbestos roof that kept cracking and breaking, and in rain season children used to get soaked while in class. That has been done. We have done the 1x6 classroom block in Bauleni. All that. We have done a multi-skill center. Myself, using my partners and my own resources, we resurfaced the entire Katambarara market so that we no longer have a situation where there was the ordinary loose soil. We put in gravel so that we bring decency to the trading area. Manje bamini wakamba kuti kulipeva bale nachita namaboza. Wankala kuti kuli Bauleni kuna ungu yamini wakambapo. Let's be serious when we come on radio and not tell people that tinama. Nizi wakuti mufuna kuti mponye miala. It's your right, but miala ngatumponya muzika mbavazoona kuti ive vamele tina kufuna kapela nsetenzo funa ati mutirungiseko marodi mukaliburungisa marodi. That's why mzanga wamene abwera hapo azanga anavochita na eve we hand over, we pass the baton on to others. Azapo rungiza marods ni eve UPND aserenza osana mizira wa HH kuti palibe wanachita ati wanasi 100 kwacha ku draft sinali iko ku draft wamene mkamba mulota. Oh sorry, let me not be rude to him but I think he's not being realistic. It sounds like a dream. That's why I've said mulota, but with all due respect to that last caller, please, again, I repeat, when we come on radio, let's come and speak the truth. As for the other callers, I think, again, very positive messages. I really would want to thank them. Dr. Mkosa, Edward is the one I've just been talking to. I thank him also, despite him coming and telling untruths on radio. And of course, Madam, is it EBM, spoke very positively. And she extolled what we should do as Zambians. You've received free education. You must be able to say thank you. And this is really our prayer and our plea that President Haimbe Hichilema loves the people of Zambia, cares for the people of Zambia. He loves his students, for example, those who are out there that are listening from the various institutions of learning. You have been given, again, that opportunity through this bursary scheme that is there, that has been reintroduced through the reintroduction of meal allowances. We must be able to say thank you to our visionary leader and say we believe in him that he can do more for us, given a second mandate, so that we as a people stand to benefit.
All right. So the focus there is the word thank you as well. You want the Zambians to give you another thank you, another 5 years.
And we are saying thank you too. It's not a one-way street. We are saying thank you to the people of Zambia for the first mandate and for them believing in what we have been able to do, for them believing in what President Haimbe Hichilema has been able to do, and for them to say to us that we for example, we heard from Madam EBM that we appreciate and we are grateful, and for that reason we believe that you can do even more, since we all appreciate that there's more work to be done, to trickle down these benefits of all that we've been doing, so that you and I every day can feel the benefits of all this work.
And with all the commitments in the 2026 manifesto, do you believe they will be actualized within the specified time frame?
Yes,
Looking at all those projections.
Yes, as I said, the evidence is already there in the fact that many of these targets, you are seeing movement towards achieving them. 5 million metric tons of maize is there. We are seeing already the investment that has been put in the energy sector. We are seeing already the exceeding of the 1 million, the projected 1 million tons of copper this year. We are seeing the positive outcomes. Now, these next is to pick from this fruit that has now ripened and begin to benefit from it.
All right, well, we have to close now. Thank you so much for coming through this morning. But as we close, what is your message to the Zambian citizen? I mean, we just have a few days to go before the elections. What message do you have to the Zambian voter?
The message is simple. I know there is still areas where the Zambian people, where you and I feel that we want to see more benefit for us. The message is simple. We appreciate, President Haimbe Hichilema appreciates the vote that was given in 2021, the support that has continued from 2021 till now. And he understands his love for the people, his caring approach to the affairs of the people means that he understands what needs to be done for us to ultimately get where we should be as Zambians, which is in a situation where our well-being and our welfare improves. This is the work that needs to be done. Half of it has been done in terms of the first 5 years from a time perspective, but the other half now is for growth. Let's not take chances with those that do not have a proven track record, those that had an opportunity to serve and squandered it. We cannot afford to do so. Let us finish this job. We are asking for your vote. We are asking for you to return President Haimbe Hichilema and his team, the UPND, into office.
All right,
Thank you very much.
And the tie had to be red.
Yes, without question.
Oh, thank you so much once again. All right, so that's it. Conversations with Hope. You will catch the show next week, Wednesday, at the same time. Thank you so much to all the viewers as well as the callers. This is Capital 99.7. You can now enjoy the mid-morning report with Womba.
Don't go anywhere.